Hey everybody, how are you? Welcome to Sunday night. Tonight I wanted to talk a little bit about songwriting. It's a subject I'm really interested in, and I wanted to talk about the bridge in songwriting, what it is, and I'm going to give a list of 10 of the bridges I think are extra nice from classic rock and the folk singer-songwriters of the 60s and 70s. I hope you'll watch. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the bridge in songwriting. You know, when I was about 18, I actually worked part-time for a couple years in a little studio where we help people write songs, and I learned a lot about the craft of songwriting. I actually got to work with some pretty good songwriters that were older, a lot older than I was, in the Detroit area. Nothing, no one really famous, but I did work with some pretty good songwriters that had written songs for a long time. And I used to kind of be a little embarrassed about it because, we would write songs for anything, for anybody. I mean, people would bring in, a laundry list written on a napkin or something, and we would put a melody and a chorus to it and add drums, and a lot of it was so bad. But one thing, looking back on it, that was a period where I learned a lot about songwriting because, and actually some of those people would come in with good lyrics or good songs, and we maybe helped them record them and everything. So I actually learned a lot in that period. But one of the things I learned is about the song structure. At least I was exposed to the ideas of song structure, like a verse and a chorus, for example. That's sort of the basic classic song structure, a verse and a chorus, where the verse kind of is the narrative of the song or the text, and then the chorus is kind of the theme or the hook of the song, kind of the main point of the song, reinforced usually in a kind of catchy sing-song type way. But some songs have a bridge, and a bridge is a really neat device in songwriting. I suppose bridges, like verses and choruses, go back for centuries, but I kind of associate bridges in particular with the really polished professional songwriting of popular music that sort of came out in the 20th century. Like I said, I'm sure they're before that, but a really nice bridge that kind of takes you out of the song and then back into the song. It's like a bridge, it kind of carries you out, but then you can also bring it back in. And so a lot of the great sheet, in the period when there was a lot of sheet music or great Tin Pan Alley songwriters, musical theater, a lot of people like Jerome Kern, Harry Warren, who wrote Henry Mancini. I don't know any of those people. They would have in some of their songs, they would have a bridge, and that was really sophisticated. Rodgers and Hammerstein, a bunch of their songs have great bridges. It kind of takes you out of the song and then kind of brings you back in. Like I was thinking Somewhere Over the Rainbow is kind of a bridge. Someday I'll wish upon it. By the way, I'm going to sing a little bit, and this is not a performance, so, but I'll try to clear my voice. So it's someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops, oh, way above the chimney top. That's where you Okay, we're going to just start out right away with me doing a couple of my favorite bridges, and at least bridges that I've enjoyed over the years, and as I've gotten older, I've increasingly marveled at. They're humbling. If you try to write songs yourself, And then you look at some of these bridges, it's just flat out humbling how well done some of them are. And they're often not fancy, or, it's not like you have to learn to play a bunch of new weird chords or 90 miles an hour. They're just so well crafted, and sometimes they're not long. They might even be, 20 or 30 seconds of the song, but they're like a little puzzle piece that fits in. The first bridge I wanted to say a little bit about is Paul McCartney's Here, There, and Everywhere. Now, the Beatles were great songwriters, and we often cite, influences like Elvis or Chuck Berry and people like that. But another important influence where you would get a lot of songwriting, popular songwriting, would be like Tin Pan Alley. Paul McCartney used to always say to John Lennon when they were kids, Tin Pan Alley, here we come. And Tin Pan Alley was the place where it was kind of like Nashville is today. Songwriters that didn't perform themselves would go and kind of hang out and try to sell their songs. And conversely, a lot of the singers didn't really write their own songs. So that was kind of a nice relationship. And a lot of times you had these really professional singers or professional songwriters that they didn't perform themselves, but they just wrote great songs. They really got it down to a science. But Tin Pan Alley is kind of a mythic place. It's a historical place, but it's also kind of legendary in songwriting. But you really see a lot of those great songwriting devices in both Lennon and McCartney. I think maybe especially Paul McCartney, who's so great. One of the bridges I thought about highlighting was Here, There, and Everywhere, which is a great song. By the way, I'm going to sing it a little bit. This is not me. This is not a video of me singing and performing for you. But I am going to try to sing them just as a demonstration. And this one is written in a bad key to sing. I bet you they should have probably written it in an E flat or something. But it's like a lot of those songs back then. They would just write them, and if the guy was playing a G chord, he'd sing it in the key of G, and maybe they should have moved it down. But this song is, I think, too high. But anyway, it's Here, There, and Everywhere. I'll just get it started here. I'm going to sing it an octave lower. Running my hands through her hair. You know the song. But then when he goes to the bridge, he goes up to a B flat. I need her everywhere. And when she's beside me, I know I need never care. But to love her is to need her. Here I took that. But to love her is to need her. And then he goes right back into it. It's just perfect. It takes you out, almost takes you, if you feel like you're going out of the key signature a little bit almost. But it just is something a little different. Not too different, but it's different enough. It kind of takes you out of the song, then brings you back in. That's a great bridge. And I just wanted to say the Beatles have so many other bridges that we could have mentioned. Another one I think is great that shows you that them taking those kind of classic popular songwriting techniques and making them into rock and roll, which is one of the things the Beatles were so great at. But as I Want to Hold Your Hand, I tell you something, I think, but then the bridge, and when I touch you, I feel happy inside. It's such a feeling that my love I can't hide. That is so great. Yeah. I mean, it's such good songwriting. But that's a bridge. It kind of takes you out a little bit. It's a little bit different. It feels just enough different for a minute there that it kind of gives you something else to think about, process. And when I touch you, I feel happy inside. It's such a feeling that my love. And they bring it right back. Hide. They go back to I can't hide. I can't hide. Yeah. Oh, I mean, that is such a good. And they've got a bunch of them. I'm sure you, if you like the Beatles, you can go through all their songs. But I think especially Paul McCartney, and probably no doubt in his solo career too, you see a lot of those really that's really professional songwriting. It's not just a pop star or a rock star. That's a songwriter, Paul McCartney, who's right up there with Rodgers and Hammerstein, Irving Berlin, Cole Porter, anybody like that you can name. They're the pure songwriters of popular music. I mean, he's right in there with the very elite best of them. And you listen to those two songs and so many others, and you hear those great bridges. Another one I thought of that I always kind of marveled at. Now it's a song I grew up with, and that's Tequila Sunrise, which I don't know. It just is to me one of those great '70s songs. You know, it just the drink. I don't know if anyone do they still drink Tequila Sunrises, but it was the song. Either the song inspired a drink or the drink inspired a song. I don't know, but I remember people used to drink those, and what I don't even know what they are. Was it tequila and orange juice and grenadine or something like that? But anyway, great song. But the bridge in that, I remember when I started working this up with another guy, and you know, it's one of those songs you've heard a million times. When you start to play it, you sometimes you get the chance to look at it, and the bridge in that song is so good. It's classic. Take another shot of courage. Wonder why the right words never come. You just get numb. Takes you out a little bit. Right back in. It's another tequila sunrise. See, it takes you out and then it takes you back in. It lifts up a little bit. It's just kind of just that little bit of an ascension. You almost feel like you're going somewhere else, and then you're led right back into that admirable, catchy, infectious acoustic guitar signature motif of the song. But the Eagles were also great songwriters. So I just those are a couple I was thinking of, and I've got more to come. Another great song that I thought of is actually Sweet Melissa by Gregg Allman, which has a brilliant bridge in it. And you know, it's kind of funny. I love the Allman Brothers as songwriters. Obviously, they have great music and playing, but they were also great songwriters. Both Gregg Allman and Dickie Betts. But I guess I don't associate them too much with that kind of popular song type tradition that you associate with the bridge. But they have some good songs. But in Sweet Melissa, he's got a really nice bridge. So you know, he's got that kind of main theme, Melissa. But he's got that bridge. It kind of takes you out and brings you back in. Again, the morning comes. Again, he's on the run. Sunbeam shining through his hair, acting like he hasn't got a care. Lord, pick up your gear and gypsy roll on. See how it takes you out? Roll. Crossroads. It brings you right back in. What a masterful song. Just a great bridge. I believe those words are written on his tomb, so they must have meant a lot to him. But it's a kind of almost a climax in the song, but it kind of takes you out of the song and kind of lifts you up and kind of takes you another place, and then it brings you back into the main line of the song with, you know, the Sweet Melissa part. Just great. Another song I thought of is America by Paul Simon, which is one of many Paul Simon songs that is so well written. I've always thought America just is a great song, but also just as a specimen of really top-notch songwriting. I mean, just superb songwriting, you know. Let us be lovers, we'll marry our fortunes together. But the bridge is great. So he goes to a B flat. He takes you out of the song, and then he takes you to, you know, kind of like a dream sequence almost. Laughing on the bus, playing games with the faces. B flat major 7 to a C. She said the man in the gabardine suit was a spy. I said be careful, his bow tie is really a camera. It's just perfect songwriting all the way around. That's such a good song. But that if you want to look at a good bridge, that's a really good one. Another good bridge that occurred to me is Vincent by Don McLean. I also thought Don McLean, who wrote American Pie, of course, is such a good songwriter. Obviously, American Pie is a great song, but American Pie is kind of singer-songwriter's version of Freebird, though it almost becomes kind of a cliche, and you forget, or Stairway to Heaven, you forget what a great song it really is. But one thing about American Pie, it eclipsed a lot of the other great songs that Don McLean did. He's got a whole catalog of great songs, and I guess that's one song kind of overtook everything. But he's got that other song, probably a lot of you know it, which is Vincent or Starry, Starry Night, but that's got a beautiful bridge in it. You know, Starry, Starry Night, paint your palettes blue and gray. See that? But then the bridge is nice. Listen to that. Here's the bridge. It takes you out of the song. For they could not love you, but still your love was true. And when no hope was left inside, now he takes you to a C minor chord, to that starry, starry night, kind of takes you out of it. You took your life as lovers often do. That's so good. When no hope was left inside, on that starry, starry night, you took your life as lovers often do. That I could have told you, Vincent, this world was never meant for one as beautiful as you. Starry, then right back in. See, it took you out and back in. Just masterful songwriting. Outstanding. Here's another great bridge by Billy Joel. I was always more of an Elton John guy than a Billy Joel guy, but certainly respect Billy Joel, and especially some of his early stuff. But that Just the Way You Are is just one of those top-notch written songs, you know, that just shows Billy. You know, it could have been, you know, it's really like a professionally written song, you know, because a lot of times great performers and entertainers, they might write their own songs even, but but some of those songwriters, those professional songwriters, that's all they do, and they're like masters at it. And Billy Joel is in that league of the caliber of songwriting. But Just the Way You Are is really nice. Do that again. I need to know that you will always be the same old someone that I knew. What will it take to you believe in me the way that I believe in you? That's the chord right there. See how it leaves you suspended? It's a bridge. You wouldn't want to end there, I guess. I mean, you definitely want a resolution. Sounds great, but it's not the chord you're going to end on. Or don't want clever, you know what? So just a really good bridge for a really good song, Billy Joel. Another one that's kind of like that is by one of the greatest songwriters of all time, Lady Dame Carole King, just an awesome songwriter. And she's got a bunch of great songs. Of course, she was someone who transitioned. She was kind of one of those designated professional songwriters who just wrote songs for other people because she was so good at it. And she transitioned to have her own career. But she was one of those, you know, standalone songwriters, you know, first and foremost a songwriter. And she wrote a lot of songs like Up on the Roof. You look at the list of songs she wrote, Locomotion. I mean, those are some great songs. But the one I was thinking of that's got an extra nice bridge, I actually grew up hearing the James Taylor version, but is You Got a Friend. If you're down in trouble. But then here's the bridge. Hey, that's such a good bridge. Ain't it good to know that you got a friend? People can be so cold. They'll hurt you and desert you. They'll take your soul if you let them. Oh, but don't you let them. You just call out. See, it takes you out that then right back in You Just into the main theme. It's just into the main theme of the song. Just a masterful bridge by a great songwriter. Here's another one I thought of that's got a great bridge. I don't think you hear it too much anymore, but it was a big song back when I was a kid. We're in the summer, and that is, of course, Seals and Crofts' Summer Breeze. Great song. Just epitomizes summer in the 70s, I would say. You know, but see, it's got see the curtains hanging in the window in the evening on a Friday night. So it's got the verse, and but the chorus, then it's got a chorus. Summer breeze makes me feel fine, blowing through the jasmine in my mind. So that's the verse and the chorus, but then it's got a bridge. Sweet days of summer, the jasmine's in bloom. July is dressed up and playing her tune, and I come home from a hard day's work, and you're waiting there, not a care in the world. By the way, I never knew, I got that chord out of an old piano vocal guitar book. I don't know if they even sell those anymore too much, but it's just basically a bar chord all the way across on the 5th fret. I don't know what you'd call it. Then up to the 7th fret, and you're waiting there. That's kind of like that Billy Joel song. It's got a chord it's got that raised note on it, which what's a second, but it raises, and you don't want to stay there. It sounds good. It's kind of exciting. It's kind of stimulating, but you want to come back down to the main chord. Great song, great songwriters, and that's a great bridge. Another one that I'll kind of end with is by another great songwriter that's kind of like Carole King in that he was kind of a standalone songwriter. I mean, he always played some of his own stuff, but he was in Nashville as a songwriter. In those days, Nashville was kind of like a southern version of New York City. You'd have people that would just sit around and write songs and try to sell them to artists that sang great, looked great, but didn't maybe write their own songs, at least that quality. And that's how, Carole King and so many people, they wrote songs for other people. And the guy in Nashville, one of the many who wrote like that was Willie Nelson. And he's got so many good songs, especially from that early period. But one of the songs he wrote has such a good bridge in it, and it's Crazy, which was made famous by Patsy Cline. Willie Nelson does it great too, but I'm crazy, so well written. Crazy for feeling so lonely. I'm crazy, crazy for feeling so blue. I knew. So, but then the bridge of that goes up to a B flat. Worry. I always play it kind of bluesy, rockin'. Why should I let myself worry? Rock it out a little bit. But see that? Now he takes you out of it a little bit. Wondering, will I add some little blues? What in the world I would do? Adds a couple jazzy chords without you. Hear how that's another one of those, it kind of, you don't want to end there unless you're doing something kind of a little bit unusual, but that you play that chord and you want to come back to the root chord, which is F. So, worry. Why should I let myself worry? Wondering what in the world I would do. I love these chords. Without you. And that's why I'm crazy for thinking that my love could hold you. Look at this, great. I'm crazy, crazy for crying, and I'm crazy for trying, and I'm crazy for loving See that? That's such a great crazy for crying, and I'm crazy for trying. That is such a well-written song. It's just ridiculous. And it's not fancy or complicated. It's just kind of slow, good feeling song, but it's just one of those ones when you heard it, it's like, why? I think everybody says, why? How do you come up with that? Because once you hear it, it seems like you've heard it your whole life, and yet, no, Willie Nelson wrote that. Someone had to think of it first. But it's got a great bridge in it. One place where you hear a lot of good bridges that it occurs to me is in Christmas music. Because a lot of that Christmas music of the mid-20th century, not the really old carols necessarily, but the mid-20th century, that kind of were written out of that popular song tradition of American music. And like you take Holly Jolly Christmas, those songs are kind of simple. We associate them with kids of all ages and kind of fun, and they don't seem very sophisticated to us because they're singing about Rudolph or whatever, but they're actually very cleverly crafted songs. Look, have a holly jolly Christmas, it's the best time of the year. I'm not going to sing the whole. Now look how he goes to the bridge here. Oh, hold the mistletoe hung where you can see. Somebody waits for you. Kiss her once for me. That's such a good bridge, and it kind of takes you out. I think that was Johnny Marks, who also wrote Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, which is actually another really well-written song. Then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guys... See how it takes you out a little bit with that? It almost feels like you're going to play in the key of G a minute. Won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Then you go back to C. And it kind of brings you right back into the main song. Just great songwriting. Bridge in it. So I just wanted to share some of those thoughts on the bridge in general and give some examples of what I think are extra good bridges in songwriting. And I write a lot of songs. Probably, some of these are humbling. They're so good, but I do try, and I think it's a good thing to try. And these artists that I've mentioned have such craft and excellence in their songwriting, and I think they're all excellent musicians, but they're not necessarily playing 90 miles an hour. Their focus is on the craft of those songs, and that is such a lesson. Start first with a great song, and those are great songs. And not every song has a bridge, but if your song calls for a bridge, or you think one would fit in there, stick one in there, because they really add so much, and it kind of takes you out of the song. Sometimes there's a chord that kind of lifts you up a little bit, almost feels like you're going somewhere else, and then it kind of brings you back, and that's just such masterful songwriting. Hats off to all those great songwriters and those great examples of the bridge in songwriting. Thank you. God bless you.